Hi guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today we are going to do a walkthrough of my February budget setup. We're actually going to take a look at the budget that I fill out and how I use my pages in my budget planner to help me, manage my finances for the month. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I use a cashless budget system. I do not use cash envelopes, but I love the cash envelope process, and so I've really kind of set up my budget planner to replicate that process. And so I just kind of want to walk you through how that's been going for the first month and how I do that when I set up my pages, and how I use my pages to help me do that. So let's take a look at February. So I am using a happyplanner planner for my structure, meaning my covers and my dividers. I took this divider out of an older happyplanner from like 2023. I covered the back of it and I put these cut aparts here, and I really love this for February. I'm actually really in love with this divider, but we're not here to talk about dividers. And so after I have the structure, which is basically the cover, the dividers, and my monthly calendar, all of my budget inserts are printable inserts that I make. So I start off each month with just a quick monthly overview. This is like a really high level snapshot of what my major expenses are going to be for that month, my total income expected, any travel or entertainment that I have, any savings goals, and anything particular that I have to do. If you remember from one of my earlier videos, I didn't do all that well at the end of the month for January. And so I'm kind of on a bounce back plan in February. So I have a little bit more expenses than I probably normally have because I'm, focused on getting things paid down. So that's just what it is. Okay, so I start in my budget by setting up my monthly budget. This is your standard monthly budget. It has your income, your bills, your expenses, and your additional expenses. In my planner, I use my expenses for my variables, and then I have additional expenses for anything that kind of doesn't fit those categories, and I have a summary here. Because I've kind of preset this up for February, I haven't completely filled out my summary. I'm also keeping a list of expenses that are really business expenses for me because I do run my own genealogy business. And so I think I mentioned this in a couple videos ago. The beginning of this year, like the first quarter, I'm kind of on a journey to separate my personal from my business expenses because my genealogy business is not self-sustaining right now. So I'm still paying for most of those things from my personal account. And so for February, I've just kind of started to make a list of what those expenses are so that I can start getting them transferred to my actual business accounts, and getting those payments coming out of my business account. So that's a process. The goal is to have that done by the end of the quarter. So yeah, this is like my overview of the month. And then I get into my monthly cash flow. This page, before we get to the monthly cash flow, this is a special page that I make. And it's just so that I can keep track of my bills and expenses and the due dates. And it's actually, I print this on cardstock. It's not a part of my printables set because not everyone uses this page. But I go in and I just make this on Canva and I print it on cardstock, and it goes with me month to month. So that I can, at a glance, see what bills are due when I'm planning out my cash flow. This is available as a freebie for my Patreons. So if you join my Patreon community, then this is available as a freebie. But yeah, so this goes month to month. So the next page is actually my monthly cash flow. This is where I take I'm going to go ahead and take this out. This is where I take my monthly budget and I break it down into weeks. And I have these mini budgets here. So this is kind of like, for people who do weekly budgeting or weekly paychecks. That was too much for me. I really wasn't going to get into like doing this whole full budget every week. That would just take too much time for me personally. So my answer to that was to come up with these kind of mini budgets for each week. And there's four, two on each side. If you needed more, you could just print another page. But what I do is that I use this to kind of keep track of my money coming in and my money coming out, and how much money I need to pay myself each week, because it's really important for me to stay on top of my cash flow. And you know, this is one part of my system, my budgeting system that I use that I don't really see in a lot of other places. Most people just go from this directly to tracking their expenses, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I personally can't do that, because I need to know how much money is in my account from week to week. And looking at it this way, I can kind of figure it out, but I like to see it in one place. And so that's how I use this. Okay, so all I do to fill this out is I go in, I start with my expenses, and I list my key expenses. I don't list every single thing because I have that here, but the key expenses that I'm really paying attention to, I list them right here. And then I kind of put a grouping for my variable expenses, because again, all of that's itemized here. I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of what's going to be coming out of my account, and what the cash flow is going to look like. Because I'm practicing or preparing to do my business expenses, I have a transfer to business, because I'm kind of trying to see what's going to work to get those business expenses separated. But that's how I set this up. So I do that per week. And then I go in and I determine how much I need to pay myself to cover that budget for that week. And that's what I put on my payouts. And so I usually group my expenses together, and then anything that I'm going to put in savings, and I have a mini summary here. So that's how I use my cash flow. And like I said, I do one for each week. If I needed extra weeks, I would just print this page again. Or sometimes I just write it here, but it's up to you. Okay, so then after I go here, this is where my monthly starts. This page came with the planner from Happy Planner. I never really use these pages. I might try and think of a way I can use them moving forward, but I'm not stressed about it, because all my other pages I've designed and there's a purpose for them. That one's just kind of there. Okay. So this is what my monthly looks like. This page came with the Happy Planner planner, and I just decided to keep it instead of printing my own monthly. But that's why I use the paper and ink when I paid for this planner. So I do come in and I decorate my monthlies. I don't do a ton of decorating in my weeklies. I might put a sticker here or there, but I don't really do a ton of decorating. But I do decorate my monthlies, because I mean, nobody, I'm not gonna say nobody, I like working in my budget planner. So it kind of makes me feel good, makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. But when you get off that budget, it's not always a great feeling. So at least you can have a nice, pretty, decorated monthly when you're working on your finances. So I decorate that. Generally, all I do here is I just list the bill dates, on the calendar, the bill due dates on the calendar. That's about all I do. Okay, so after setting that up, there's a blank notes page here. I have used this for notes sometimes, but this came with the planner again. So just to let you guys know, I am using a Happy Planner Big Plans and Notes. So in the Happy Planner Plans and Notes, all you get in that planner are the monthly pages that you just saw, blank of course, and notes pages. You don't get weeklies or anything like that. And so that's why I thought it would be perfect as a structure for my budget, because I make my own inserts. So I really do love their notes pages, and I keep some of them in the back of my planner in case I need extra notes pages. Okay, moving on. So where did we leave off? Okay, we did our budget, and then we did our monthly cash flow. I have a monthly summary page that I fill out at a very high level. Really, these are just the most important bills that I have to make sure that I pay from week to week. I print this page on a classic size. I print it on a regular size piece of paper, then I cut it down to classic, so that I can take this out and transfer this to my whole life planner. That is the intent of this for me, because I don't keep this big budget planner on my desk. It's just too big. It's too cumbersome. I keep my whole life or my catch-all planner on my desk every day, and I decorate it and plan every week. So as I'm planning in my whole life, it's great just to have this as a quick reference so that I can, make note of any bills that I have to be aware of. And I'm just aware of what's going on financially when I'm working in my catch-all planner, instead of having to go back and forth between planners just to update my catch-all. So that's kind of the purpose of this. So at the beginning of February, I will move this over. It is the same page as this one. So if you just print this like straight from the file that you download when you buy this printable, it will print full size, of course, and take you directly into this week. So all I do is I print one page, because you can print as many pages as you want, or print however you want with a printable. So to make this small page, I just print one page. I don't print the whole file, and I just adjust the size so that it prints classic size, and then I trim it. That's all I do. But you don't have to do that. You can just put your monthly summary here and keep moving your regular planner. Okay, so then I get into my weeks, because this is for February and February has not started. I'm prepping for February. I am not filling out my weeks yet. But what I will do is I'll put the date of the Monday start here. I'll come in and put the my budget for these key categories for me, and then I'll start tracking my expenses from week to week. And that's what it looks like every week. So let's talk about the cashless system and how this kind of replicates that. So what this does, you can think of these boxes as envelopes for your variable expenses. So if you are familiar with the cash budget system, you know that they use envelopes for variable expenses. So these boxes basically replicate that. I come in and I put my budget. Let's say my grocery budget is $50 for the week. If I was using a cash envelope, I would put $50 in a cash envelope. And every time I make a grocery expense on my debit card, I come in and I subtract it from this $50. So at any time, I can look at this and tell how much I have left in my grocery budget for that week. That's it. That's how you replicate the cash envelope system from week to week for your variables. Very straightforward. I also use this page just to list my key bills for the week and to do a little light meal planning, and any notes, sometimes a gratitude note or something here. And then I usually use this for some type of no spend. So it might change from week to week. It might be no planner supplies. It might be no Amazon. It might be no Target. It might be whatever. But I just like having this weekly habit tracker to use however you want. Okay. So that's how I set up my monthly budgets, you guys. Let me also show you how I use my savings challenges and do that in a cashless system. Because the second part of doing a cash envelope system is that you use cash envelopes for your variable spending, but you also use cash envelopes a lot of times for your savings challenges. And guys, those are really fun, right? Like, I want to say again, I love the cash envelope method. The problem I have with it is that I don't fool with cash like that. I'm not going to be going to the bank every week trying to pull out cash. That's not what I want to do. I can't even do that actually, because I don't even have a local bank in my area. So it's just not an option for me, truthfully. That being said, I love the concept of cash envelopes. I love the variable spending concept. I love the challenge concepts. And I just really wanted to figure out a way to replicate that. So let's talk a little bit about how I do that. So at the end of each month, I always have a 30-day challenge, a monthly challenge. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I am planning to use it for February. So I've already kind of highlighted, or I've already kind of filled in my February goal. Because I have a trip coming up in February for my parents' wedding anniversary. And so hopefully this will be finished before 30 days, but I'm using my 30-day challenge sheet to track it. I also have, as part of my bounce back, I need to pay down my credit card usage that I had in January. So I have a quick debt reduction plan for a couple of my credit cards. Should be able to get this accomplished within 45 days. And then another challenge or savings challenge that I have is for some music travel that's coming up in March. Some concerts that I want to go and attend. So it's a vacation, basically. And so this one I pre-planned for. I knew this was coming up back in December. So when I set up my budget planner for the year, this one was already filled out. I just didn't know the exact dates, and now that I do. So I'm going to start saving for this at the beginning of February. And I love this little challenge page because it really replicates the cash envelopes. I have several on here, but for this month I'm working on the music travel. And then visually, this vacation savings is for that same music travel. So this is just going to be kind of my fun visual that I can color in my suitcases as I, build up toward that goal, right? So these are my active challenges for February. Now, I already have my travel budget set up for that March trip. It's not complete because I don't necessarily have all the numbers confirmed, but I've started to put this in so that I can have a budget for that particular trip, right? Which corresponds to how much I'm saving. And then I have my monthly category tracker ready to be filled out. And that finishes up the month. But let's talk about how I do cash envelopes for my challenges. My active challenges for February include music travel vacation, debt reduction pay downs for my overspending in January, and a 30-day challenge. Those are the active ones I have. And so I'm obviously going to start saving for those. But how can I replicate the cash envelope system if I'm not saving cash? The way I do that is I have accounts set up at my bank. I have variable checking accounts. I have variable spending checking accounts. I have sinking and challenge funds savings accounts. And what I do is I move my funds from account to account to replicate moving money into an envelope. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm in my annual section now. And if I just flip to one of my pages that I have in this printable is a sinking and challenge envelopes page. And so this basically lists all of my challenges and sinking fund envelopes. Some of them are active, some of them are not, and that's okay. They all should be active. But again, if you've watched my other videos, I had some issues in January, so I didn't get a chance to start on all of this like I wanted to. That is okay. Just keep moving forward. Don't give up. So the only ones that are currently active for me that I just went over is my February 30 day. That's for my mom's and my mom and dad's anniversary trip. My debt pay down for my overspending in January. And so these are two debt pay down savings challenges that are active, and my music travel challenge. These are really the only, I guess that's 4 that are active right now. So what I do is I come in and I list the name of the challenge, what type of challenge it is, and the goal for that challenge. This is how I keep track of whether or not I have finished that challenge. And I list it on my sinking and challenge envelopes. This would be the same thing as putting this information on the outside of your envelope. Same thing. If you were to label your envelope and put your little goal on the flap of the envelope, this is what that is. Now, how do you track what money that you put in your envelope? I have a sinking and challenge savings account at my bank, and that's exactly what it's called, sinking and challenge savings accounts. So each week, let's say I want to deposit $1,000 the first week of February into this account. But out of that $1,000, I want 500 of it to go to my February 30 day, and 500 to go to one of my debt pay downs. So I would come into this tracker and I would write the date, the category, and the challenge name of that deposit. So I would write February 30 day deposit, $500, and the total balance of that account, which I have no money in there now because I haven't started any yet, as I said before. But when I make that deposit, the balance would be 500. Then I'd make the second deposit, which is just a transfer because I'm not working in cash. And I would do the date, challenge, the description would be credit pay down, debit, amount 500. The balance would then be $1,000. What this allows me to do is put all of the money for all of my savings and challenges into one account. Or let me rephrase, all of my sinking fund and challenge savings into one account, but I can keep track of how much is allotted for each challenge or sinking funds, so that I'm not, if I end up with $5,000 in here, I know what part of that $5,000 goes to which fund. That's how that works. So that way I can replicate cash envelopes without having to have like 20 bank accounts, because not everybody can have 20 bank accounts. I can on my account, thankfully. I assume I can, but I don't even want to try and keep up with 20 little accounts, savings accounts here or there. It's just, it would be, too much for me. So I can use one account, and this way it allows me to keep track of what funds are allotted to which challenge. And that's how that works. And that's how I replicate the cash envelope system in a cashless way. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I am excited about February. I'm excited to kind of get into my bounce back for February after a horrible January. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thank you for your time, and happy budgeting for 2025 in February.